Did you know that unexplained itching in certain parts of your body could be your body's quiet warning sign for cancer? Most people dismiss a little itch here or there, but what if that itch was more than just dry skin or irritation? For older adults, especially those over 60, persistent itchiness in very specific areas could be your body's way of sending a signal you simply can't afford to ignore. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 very specific places on the body where itching could indicate cancer, sometimes appearing months before any other symptoms. These aren't random itches. They are patterns doctors have observed again and again in patients who were later diagnosed with serious conditions, such as lymphoma, pancreatic cancer, breast cancer, or skin cancer. Stay with me until the end, because we're not just going to list body parts. You'll learn the deeper reason behind each one, why these areas itch, what types of cancer they may be linked to, and how to tell the difference between a harmless skin irritation and something more serious. You'll walk away knowing exactly what to watch for, the right questions to ask your doctor, and what actions to take if one of these signs feels familiar. Most importantly, this isn't about panic, it's about awareness. The earlier you recognize these subtle warning signs, the better your chances of catching something before it becomes more difficult to treat. Sign 1. Persistent itching on the lower legs. When older adults experience an ongoing itch on the lower legs, especially on the shins and calves, with no visible rash, no skin dryness, and no new soap or lotion to blame, it's easy to dismiss it as a simple part of aging. But this particular symptom has been linked to far more than just old skin. This specific symptom has quietly appeared in many people later diagnosed with blood-related cancers, especially lymphoma. It's not the kind of itch that comes and goes. It lingers, often intensifies at night, and doesn't respond to lotion the way ordinary dry skin does. The reason lies in how cancers like Hodgkin's lymphoma affect the immune system. These cancers begin in the lymphatic system, which is a critical part of the body's defense and drainage network. As cancer cells multiply, they release inflammatory chemicals into the bloodstream. One of the most common side effects of these chemicals is a deep, almost burning itch that settles in the lower limbs. Even if the skin looks completely normal on the outside, the nerves beneath are being irritated from within. There's the case of George, age 75, who shared his story during a cancer awareness event. For nearly 6 months, his only symptom was an uncontrollable itch on the front of his legs. His doctor first suspected eczema or perhaps a reaction to laundry detergent, but blood tests later revealed abnormal white blood cell counts and scans showed swollen lymph nodes in his chest. The diagnosis was clear: lymphoma. "The itch came first," George said, "long before anything else." Stories like George's are not rare. While not every itchy leg points to cancer, the difference lies in how the skin responds, or doesn't. If there's no rash, no change in soap, no bug bites, and the itch has persisted for weeks, it's time to investigate further. This is especially true if it's accompanied by other quiet signs like night sweats, persistent fatigue, or unexplained weight loss. For older adults, this kind of awareness becomes even more critical. As we age, our bodies often send distress signals in more subtle ways. Pain may not appear right away, and lumps might be too deep to feel, but the nerves still respond. Sometimes that response comes in the form of an itch, deep, restless, and unrelenting. If you or someone you love has been scratching their legs every night, trying creams with no relief, and wondering why nothing seems to work, don't ignore it. Speak with a doctor, request blood work. Describe the pattern clearly. Sometimes the body whispers long before it shouts, and being able to hear those whispers can make all the difference. Sign 2. Itching between the shoulder blades or upper back. There's a very particular kind of itch that appears deep in the upper back, right between the shoulder blades. It's the kind of spot people often dismiss, blaming it on posture, dry air, or even the irritating edge of an old shirt tag. But for many older adults, a persistent itch in this exact location, especially when it feels like it's coming from beneath the skin, has been linked to pancreatic cancer. The surprising part? This itch often shows up months before any noticeable pain or digestive issues appear. The connection might sound strange at first. How could a hidden organ like the pancreas trigger itchiness so far away on the back? Here's why. When pancreatic tumors begin to grow, they can block the bile ducts, tiny channels that carry bile from the liver into the intestines. When this drainage slows or stops, bile salts build up in the bloodstream. These excess bile salts irritate nerve endings, and one of the first places this irritation shows up is the back, an area with a dense network of sensory nerves. I recall a woman named Linda, age 70, who described what she called a phantom itch on her upper back. Every night, she would wake up scratching. Lotions didn't help, back scratchers didn't help, and even changing her mattress did nothing. It felt like it was coming from the inside, she said. When she went for blood tests due to unrelated fatigue, the results showed elevated liver enzymes. That discovery led to imaging scans, which revealed a small tumor in her pancreas pressing against the bile duct. What makes her story so powerful is that the itch was her only real symptom. No pain, no yellowing of the skin, just that deep, nagging sensation she couldn't ignore. And the only reason it was caught early was because she decided to speak up, even when it felt like a minor complaint. This is why that specific area matters. General back itchiness can come from dryness, clothing friction, or pressure from sitting too long. But if the itch is concentrated, persistent, and doesn't improve with skin treatments, and especially if it's accompanied by darker urine, pale stools, or unexplained fatigue, it may be a sign that something deeper is happening inside the body. In cases like this, the back becomes the messenger, quietly signaling that it's time to pay attention before louder symptoms take over. The problem often starts in the gut, but for older adults, these kinds of subtle symptoms are easy to brush aside. We don't always want to sound overly dramatic, yet the truth is, your body is far wiser than you think. When it sends you the same signal over and over again, no matter how small, it's worth paying attention. Even something as simple as an itch can carry an important message if it keeps coming back. If you're still here watching and finding these insights valuable, drop a comment with the number 2 below so I know you're following along. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our future videos. Your support truly helps us keep creating meaningful content to inform and inspire. Now, let's continue. Sign 3. Itchy scalp without visible flakes or dandruff. At first glance, an itchy scalp might not seem like a serious issue. Many older adults chalk it up to dry air, aging skin, or maybe a shampoo that doesn't quite agree with them. But when the itch is persistent, and there's no dandruff, no redness, and no flaking, it could be an early sign of something deeper happening beneath the surface, including blood-related cancers such as leukemia, or even skin cancers that affect the scalp. What makes this itch different is its unique character. Instead of simple dryness, it often feels like a tingling, crawling, or even burning sensation under the skin. It can shift from one spot to another, and no matter how many anti-dandruff shampoos or moisturizing scalp oils you try, it just doesn't go away. For people over 60, these sensations can point to nerve irritation caused by abnormal immune activity, something that happens when leukemia cells begin multiplying in the blood and disrupting the body's ability to regulate inflammation. I remember a man named Henry, 73, who told me his scalp started itching every afternoon. At first, he switched shampoos, thinking it was just a product reaction. Then he stopped wearing his favorite hat, suspecting it might be the culprit. But nothing worked. The itch stayed. When he finally went for a full blood panel, originally for unrelated fatigue, the results showed unusually high white blood cell counts. A bone marrow biopsy confirmed early-stage chronic lymphocytic leukemia. His scalp had been the very first and only part of his body to sound the alarm. What makes this so important is, many older adults already live with some degree of dryness or skin sensitivity, so when an itchy scalp appears, it's easy to dismiss it as just another part of aging. Over time, it can start to feel normal, which is exactly why it often gets ignored. But cancer-related itching is different. It doesn't fade with time. No cream calms it, no shampoo soothes it, and it refuses to respond to any product you try. It lingers, it nags, and it often feels strangely disconnected from any visible skin issue. While leukemia is one possible concern, it's not the only one. Skin cancers that develop on the scalp, especially in areas where the hair has thinned, can start off as nothing more than a small itchy patch. Sometimes it looks like a bit of dry skin or a tiny bump. But if that itch keeps returning, always in the same spot, and never goes away, it's worth a closer look under proper lighting by a dermatologist. Because the scalp can be difficult to examine yourself, it helps to ask someone you trust, a spouse, a caregiver, or even your hairdresser, to check it for you. If you notice an itch that hasn't budged in weeks, and nothing you've tried makes a difference, that's your cue to investigate further. And if this itch is paired with other subtle symptoms like unusual fatigue, unexplained bruising, or just a general sense of feeling off, it's time to take it seriously. It might feel like a small, harmless thing, but in reality, these small, stubborn signs are often the ones that tell the biggest story. Sign 4. Localized itching on the chest or breast area. When older adults, especially women, but men as well, notice a persistent itch in the chest or breast area, particularly around the nipple or just beneath the breast, it's easy to blame sweat, a snug-fitting shirt, or even the natural thinning of skin that comes with age. But this specific area is one of the most overlooked spots where itching can signal something far more serious: inflammatory breast cancer or tumors located near the chest wall. What makes this sign unique is that it often appears before any lump is detected. The skin might feel warm, irritated, or unusually tight. In some cases, there may be a change in texture, slightly rough, thicker than usual, or showing a faint reddish tint. But just as often, there's nothing visible at all, only a deep, stubborn itch that refuses to fade no matter how much cream or lotion is applied. I recall the story of Ruth, 69, who began to notice an odd itching sensation around her right breast. She tried switching bras, thinking maybe the fit was to blame. She changed detergents, just in case it was a reaction to soap. She even went without a bra for a while, hoping to rule out friction as the cause. But no matter what she did, the itching stayed, same exact spot, every single day. When she finally went in for a checkup, her doctor noticed a faint dimpling of the skin and decided to order further tests. What they discovered was a small but aggressive tumor growing close to the skin's surface, without the classic round lump most people expect. This is exactly why inflammatory breast cancer can be so dangerous. It doesn't always play by the rules. It can disguise itself as a harmless skin rash. It can spread quickly, and often, the earliest sign is not pain, but irritation. That's why it's so important to pay attention to itching that stays in one place, doesn't improve with moisturizers, and keeps returning day after day, especially in the breast or chest area. For men, this can be even easier to miss. Male breast cancer is rare, but it does happen, and it often goes unnoticed because the symptoms don't match what most men expect. An itchy patch near the nipple, a small area of thickened skin, or a persistent twinge of discomfort beneath the chest muscle might seem minor, but for someone in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, it's a sign worth checking. And there's more. This type of itch isn't always caused by cancer in the breast itself. Sometimes it's the result of enlarged lymph nodes under the arms or just beneath the collarbone, signaling lymphoma or another nearby malignancy. If that itch is paired with swelling, warmth, or even a vague heaviness in the area, it's time to take action. Early detection doesn't always begin with high-tech machines. It begins with awareness, with noticing the subtle, persistent patterns that feel out of place. Your skin can't speak, but it can send signals. And this is one of the most important signals you should never ignore. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, comment number 4 below so I know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Turn on the bell so you never miss a video. Your support helps us keep creating content that informs and inspires. Now, let's continue with sign 5. Persistent. Itching in the anal or genital area is one of the most uncomfortable topics to discuss, and perhaps that's why it's also one of the most often ignored. For many older adults, it's an awkward subject, something they'd rather dismiss than bring up at a checkup. But when this type of itching becomes persistent, with no clear cause such as hygiene issues, infection, or surface irritation, it may be your body's way of pointing to something far more serious. In certain cases, ongoing itch in the sensitive region can be an early and quiet warning sign of anal, vulvar, or even penile cancer. What makes this type of itch particularly dangerous is its ability to disguise itself as something minor. People often assume it's just dry skin, a reaction to toilet paper, mild friction from walking, or even a side effect of incontinence pads. And yes, many times it is, but not always. The warning comes when the itch lingers for weeks or months, keeps returning no matter how much you clean, treat, or moisturize, and begins to feel deeper, more raw or burning than a simple surface irritation. That's when it deserves a closer, more thorough look. There was a man named Eugene, age 76, who thought he was dealing with hemorrhoid irritation for nearly a year. He tried creams, adjusted his diet, and even used cold compresses, but the itching never fully went away. Eventually, he followed his instinct that something wasn't right and visited a colorectal specialist. A scope exam revealed a small lesion on the wall of his anal canal. It turned out to be an early-stage tumor, something that would have continued to grow silently had he not taken action. The same holds true for women. Vulvar cancer, while relatively rare, becomes more common after age 60, and one of its earliest signs is a recurring itch on or near the outer genital area. There may be no lump at all, but the skin might start to feel rougher, slightly discolored, or thinner than usual. Many older women assume it's hormonal or just postmenopausal dryness, and yes, sometimes it is. But if the itching is relentless, worsens at night, and doesn't respond to normal treatments, it should never be brushed aside. This area of the body contains a dense network of nerve endings, making it highly sensitive. Because of that, it often sends out early warnings about internal changes long before more obvious symptoms appear. Listening to those signals, no matter how small or embarrassing they seem, can make all the difference. Whether it's caused by subtle changes in skin cells, underlying nerve inflammation, or swelling in nearby lymph nodes, chronic itching in this region, especially when it stays on one side or is concentrated in a very specific spot, can be a red flag. And yet, most people hesitate to mention it. They fear it might be embarrassing, or they worry about sounding overly dramatic. But the truth is, silence is far more dangerous than curiosity. Speaking up, even about something that seems small, could be the very thing that leads to early detection, better treatment outcomes, and peace of mind. The most important takeaway is this: if the itch doesn't go away, don't convince yourself it's nothing. Don't assume it's just normal aging or something you'll live with. Let a healthcare provider examine it, because catching something early, even something as serious as cancer, often begins with noticing a tiny, quiet signal and deciding it's worth investigating. As we wrap up, remember this simple truth: your body is always communicating with you. Sometimes it speaks through obvious pain, other times through deep fatigue. But just as often, it begins with something so small, so easy to dismiss, that we barely pay attention, like a persistent itch that keeps returning. Listening to these whispers can make all the difference in protecting your health and your future. The 5 areas we discussed today, the lower legs, the upper back, the scalp, the chest, and the genital region, are not just random spots on the body. They are key places where serious internal issues, including certain cancers, often send their very first quiet signals. For older adults, learning to recognize and listen to these subtle warnings can be the difference between detecting something early and allowing it to develop unnoticed. This isn't about living in constant fear. That's never the goal. The real purpose is to empower you, to remind you that your instincts matter, and that even a symptom that seems small or harmless may be your body's way of asking for help. If any of these signs sounded familiar to you, Don't ignore them. Take the time to bring them up with your doctor. Start a conversation. You deserve clear answers, and above all, you deserve peace of mind. Thank you for being here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned from this video and how you plan to apply it in your own life. Your thoughts mean more to us than you know, and reading them gives us the motivation and encouragement to keep creating videos like this. If you found this information helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit. Your support allows us to continue producing content that informs, inspires, and helps protect your health. Wishing you good health, happiness, and peace always, and remember to subscribe to my channel so you never miss an important update.